You're listening to Profit Sharing in the Real World. I'm your host, and I'm here today with my good friend, Dick Erickson. Dick is the author of Profit Sharing in the Real World, which is available at Amazon.com. Hello, Dick. How's it going?
Great. Good to be here.
So we're going to talk a little bit more about stakeholder mentality. One thing that happens when people are truly stakeholders in a business is they look out for each other.
Amen.
And you've got a great story about that, don't you?
Well, this one case point was, here it is, a busy day, and I have a customer that's irritated about something, and my assistant manager picked up on this a little bit, and I was trying to get on top of it, and I was probably bringing my emotions up a little bit too. And next thing I know, he says, "Hey," he didn't say anything. Next thing I hear the intercom come on, and it says, "Boss, line 1." "Oh, excuse me, sir." I run over to the phone, get on the phone. It's on dial tone. I go, what in the world's going on here? I look outside. My assistant manager was with the customer that I was about to have some problems with, and he took over and made a happy customer out of that. And I'm talking I was the owner. I should have been able to be on top of this better than most, maybe. But the point was, we all have our up days and down days. And as a team, my stakeholder came to my rescue.
So your assistant manager saw you getting a little testy with a customer, and he knew at some level this shouldn't be happening.
No.
So he picks up the intercom and says, "Mr. Erickson, line 1. Mr. Erickson, line 1.
That's right. And I'm going,
That is crazy.
Excuse me, sir, I got to get over here. And so that's one of them, Danny. And then so I think of other issues that went on, how we looked after each other, because what I found the stakeholder, he's not just doing a job and that's it. He's concerned about the overall effect, because he knows if there's upset customers, if the speed falls off on how we've promised times that we're going to get people out of there, we start missing on these things, we're not going to have the business that we were out fighting for. We're not taking care of the customer like we said we would. We've got to walk the talk. So the point was, a couple things happened, and all the way from another one that comes to mind is, I was over to Pensacola. I kind of had a couple of days off with my family, and I'm coming back, and I stopped in Tallahassee for lunch, and where I ate was right close to one of my tire stores over there. So I ran up there after lunch, and my family was still at the cafe, and I get up there and say hi to everybody, and just as I was getting ready to leave, the manager said, "Mr. Erickson, can I speak to you?" And I said, "Sure." He said, "Mr. Erickson, don't we have a rule that we have to be shaven when we come to work in the morning?" And I rubbed my face, and I had not shaven, but I was on vacation in my mind. Now, I thanked him. I said, "I'm going to thank you for that. It's not going to happen again." My pride got up a little bit, and I said, "I can't let this ever happen." I wasn't following the rules. The rules were, we come to work shaven. Our appearance is very important if we're going to be a great company. And so there was an example of that. And did I hold grudges on that? No, I felt good that I had that kind of feeling in the company, that they could talk to the boss that way.
Talk to the boss that way. That is so crazy. I'm a manager or whatever, and here comes the boss. I'm going to tell him, "Sir, you should have shaved before you came in." Because as far as you were on vacation, but as far as he was concerned, you were the boss.
That's right. I walked into the environment of our tire organization, and I did not look the role that I've asked of them.
And that was a standard. And because the guy was a stakeholder, he felt like, well, he ought to be living up to that standard as well.
Yeah, because he's trying to control, and then the boss leaves, and all of a sudden said, "Hey, the boss didn't shave. You've been after me about shaving. The owner just showed up, and he wasn't shaved. What's going on?" So he took that on, and I think what I did is I talked to the whole group before I left, just to say, "Listen, I made a mistake here," because I was too important. We had a good group of folks there. So these are a couple issues, but the point is, there's numerous things, whether it's the speed slows down, someone jumps in, and I found with stakeholders, most of them are cross-trained on their own accord. They could do other people's jobs. They might not be as fast. In most cases, they kind of stuck with their own part of the jobs. But But the point was they're always trying to think what was another time came up. I'm out west, and I had a couple of my employees with me, and we're out observing this company. And this guy was pushing a truck tire by, and he was kind of trotting. He wasn't walking. He was
We're talking about a gigantic
a big
tire
tire.
for a tractor or something.
That's right. And he is moving faster than. So when he got through, I said, "Can I have a minute with you?" And he said, "Sure." And so I was very careful because these guys were busy. I didn't want to take away from his time. So I said, "Why were you running?" And he looked at me, kind of scratched his head, and said, "Mr. Erickson, I think the customer wants me to." I just about had a meltdown. I'm going, he's here for the customer. He's pushing a truck tire with a kind of pushing it fast. I mean, running with it. Now that is customer service. That is what we're talking. But he didn't have a boss there telling him, "Hey, speed it up out there," or yelling or orders around. No, he was taking this on himself.
So the customer probably wasn't even around.
No.
Nowhere to be seen. And yet somehow this guy is thinking about the customer and what the customer wants. And the reason was that he had a stake in the success of the business.
That's right. Stakeholders are focused on the customer, and that's what you want. And you got to have some rules of what's expected and not expected to a point, but then within that deal, they have authority to do certain things.
That's great. I've been talking with Dick Erickson about the stakeholder mentality. For one thing, it brings people to look after each other. If somebody sees somebody having a bad day, that's not a day for that person to be talking to the customers, is it?
No.
Get over there on the tire changing
right.
machine,
Just go over and you don't have to talk to anyone. Just do that, and we'll deal with the customer.
And also, it motivates them to move faster because they think this is what the customer would want.
Yes.
It's quite different from somebody collecting a paycheck, punching a clock and getting a paycheck at the end of the week. It's a great lesson for business owners. I want to thank you for being here, Dick. Dick Erickson, as I mentioned, is the author of Profit Sharing in the Real World, which is available on Amazon.com, as well as his other book, How the Rubber Meets the Road, a blue-collar guide to success. Thank you for listening, and have a good week.
Thank you.